War of the Vikings. Is it worth a buy? Let's read it. Viking Age multiplayer close quarters combat set in Saxon controlled Britannia. Guys. Built on the same close quarters combat tech as War of the Roses, War of the Vikings delivers the next generation of Paradox's close quarter combat focused brands that moves the setting to the Viking Age. Well guys, do you want a history lesson? I'll give you a history lesson because I know a lot of you are Americans and you don't actually have a history. We haven't got the Americans already. Yes, we are. No, we're not. Shut up. Saxons. I'm a Saxon. I'm a fucking Anglo-Saxon. I used to be Celt. This little island, we used to be like Celts, just running around dressed as trees. I think that's what Celts used to do. And then we were invaded, guys. We were invaded by the Germans. They weren't even at it back then, guys. It's just in the blood. They'll do it again. Oh yeah, it was the Germans. They were called Germania at the time. They invaded our country, Britannia, and they got a hold of all the Celt women, bent them over a chair, and fucked their brains out. That's what they did, and the offspring were called Saxons. I should have been a history teacher. That's what it was. We then became Saxons. Because we lived in Britannia, we were Anglo-Saxons. I'm a fucking Anglo-Saxon. And we had a king. Called Harold Godwinson. Oh, he was a man's man. He was a fucking man and a half, guys, that man was. Do you know what he did? Do you really? I'll tell you. Do you know something? At the Battle of Stamford fucking Bridge, the Vikings came. Oh, the fucking Vikings. The Norwegian bacon shaggers came over in their fucking longboats. And Harold Godwinson, just down the road from me, on the River Tees, well, it's about 40 miles down the road from me, he got his army and he marched to Stamford Bridge and kicked the out of the Vikings. And you know what? There was a traitorous Viking, Tostig Godwinson. He was Harold's brother at the fucking same battle fighting against me. Killed that cunt as well. Oh yeah. But you know what? Do you know what? The fucking French landed on fucking Kent. Oh yeah, William the fucking Conqueror. He was French. Landed in Kent while we were fighting the fucking Vikings. And Harold, you know what Harold did? He didn't fucking put in a sick note like the would today. He just says, right lads, we'll fucking kill the Vikings. Let's march all the way fucking south and meet these French bastards. And clippity-clop all the way down the fucking British Isles after, they were still battle-weary, and he fucking charged into the fucking French. He got an arrow in his face and died, and we lost, Does that mean I'm fucking French? Shit, that's history. Who cares? I don't care about history anyway. So anyway, what's that? Just get on with it. War of the Vikings is a sequel to War of the Roses from Paradox. And it's a bit, guys, I don't know. It's good, but it's bad. You play as the Saxons or the Vikings. It's multiplayer only. It's third person only. Third person. I hate third person. How can you have a sword game third person, guys? You need first person. You need that sword in your fucking hand, and you need to see it rip through the flesh of the enemy. That's what sword was all about back in the day, with swords, spears and shields. Nobody fucked about in third person mode. Harold Godwinson on the Battle of Hastings didn't say, hang on guys, let's watch the back of our head. Mike, what are you talking about? Sorry guys, but what I'm saying here is that for this kind of game you really need to be looking through the eyes of yourself, because you need to see your reach. Where's your sword going to strike? You don't want to be seeing the back of a fucking head. I don't understand how games can make I don't understand what makes people make third-person games. I can't get my head round, guys, why you would want to see the fucking back of your head and shoulders when you're playing a game. It takes up like a third of the screen in some games. When you look at Dead Space and stuff like that, it's like, why do you want to see that? What's the fucking thing? What is it? What do you get off on that? Is it something sexual? I don't understand why you want to see the back of your fucking head. Don't you not want to see through the eyes, see your hands? Because that's how it is in real life. You look at yourself now, stretch your hands out in front of you. Imagine you have a sword there. Do you not want to see it from that perspective? If you have a gun, do you not want to see it from that perspective? Is that not more immersive? War of the Vikings, it's third person, which means the combat's fucking shit, in my opinion. I can't get into it. I can't get into it. The combat is just, it's not like chivalry. It's overly complicated now, guys. I mean, moving to the left while pressing left slashes left. Moving to the right while and all of that. And that would be great in first person mode, but in third person it just makes it shit. Because you can't really see your swing and all the rest of it. And I found that the actual combat I couldn't get into. I just couldn't get into it with the sword or the shield and things like that. And another thing, all the different weapons that you can get are all just the same. Every sword hits exactly the same. Every shield defends exactly the same. They are purely aesthetics. It's just like eye candy. They just look different. Each bow is exactly the same stats. There are no stats. It's just like a dumbed down fighting game. Everybody's exactly the same on a level playing field. You've got perks, which you unlock and you can put into different slots to give yourself some different skills on the battlefield, but that's it. I mean, the graphics look nice and you can customize your character and all the rest of it, but it's not brutal. This game just lacks that brutal edge. This game should be all about the brutality of this war, because this kind of warfare was the most brutal we've ever had as human beings. It was absolutely brutal, and it doesn't feel brutal when you're playing the game. There is a saving grace for this, and that is the archery in this is, without a shadow of a doubt, the best archery I have ever seen in a game. It is fucking amazing, guys. I have spent hours playing this game, and most of it has been with a bow in my hand. And the amount of people that cry, this is the thing. If you want that sword in hand feeling as it rips through the flesh, you're not going to get it in this game. Primarily because it is third person, but secondly because it's not as brutal. It just doesn't have that brutality that chivalry has. And I'll be doing chivalry in a few days' time, the new one, Deadliest Warrior. And I've already done it, and you'll see the total difference in that, guys. The archery is fabulous, but it has a few horrific bugs as well. Well, they're not actually bugs, they're badly designed things like spawning. The spawning system is awful. The maps are just too small. I mean, I spawned with a bow and arrow, and there was a guy spawned with an axe right near us and a sword. It's like, well, what the f***? You know, how am I supposed to defend against that? It was like, alright, I've spawned right now where we are. You know, it's bullshit. The spawning is awful. It is. And the maps are very, very small as well, and it just lacked that atmosphere for me, guys. And it's very difficult to say this is worth a buy, but at the same time it's difficult to say that it isn't worth a buy. So what I'm going to do, and I know people have been saying, oh Mac, I want it, you've got to be more brutal than this. Well, yeah, but I also have got to be fair with this. I can't just because I have a bad experience say the game's shit when it clearly isn't shit. $18.99 is too much for this. It should have been more of a DLC for War of the Roses, because it's not massively different. In fact, it's more of a dumbed down version of War of the Roses, in my opinion. But you know, what I'm going to say is this: if you are looking for a brutal hack and slash game, this isn't it. And for that reason, I will say, for $18.99, it is definitely not worth a buy.